The business of arts. We have Anastasia Jackson, who is going to be our moderator today. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Molly. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at Anastasia. I'm like, so we have Molly, who's going to be our moderator today. Today, this topic has been really a lot of great scuttlebutt has been going on about this topic. So I'm glad that you guys are all here, and I'm looking forward to great conversation. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Molly Giordano. I am the moderator. Anastasia, if you want to jump in and join, please do. I'm the executive director of the Delaware Art Museum here in Washington, and I'm also chair of the board of the Delaware Arts Alliance, which is a small statewide nonprofit that advocates for the arts as the unifying voice in the sector. And I have another board member joining me today, and we're both going to be talking about a really exciting plan that DA launched just last week called the Create Plan. But before we get into some of that, would love our panelists to introduce themselves. So we're going to start here. And could you please share who you are? How did your career journey evolve into the arts and entrepreneurship space? And what does success look like to you?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anastasia Jackson, and I'm the Kent County Regional Business Manager with the Delaware Division of Small Business and the statewide coordinator for the Delaware on Main Street program. And like Molly mentioned, I am a board member, a new board member to the Delaware Arts Alliance. And what does success look like to me? Success looks like making an impact and doing what you love and what you have been, whatever your gift is, being able to utilize that gift in its full capacity and just making an impact every single day of your life. That's what success looks like for me.
Hello, my name is Nataki Oliver. I am the owner and the curator for the Soul Farm Art Gallery here in downtown Wilmington. I am a resident of Wilmington all my life. I believe my start in art started when I was young. So it's a long story, a long process. But as far as entrepreneurship, when I left New York and I came back to Delaware, I realized that there was a void here and it needed to be filled. I noticed that the artists and the creatives that I had been working with weren't able to break in spaces that they really wanted to be in. So I decided to open my own art gallery and do what I wanted to do and open the doors for them. As far as success, that is it's like a couple levels to that. It is, when I see my son's eyes, that's success. He's 21, he's successful. So I did a good job. As far as entrepreneurship, I would say leaning more into educating my community about what it is, how important it is to have arts in our spaces. And when they get it, I know that my job is done. I would also say another level of that is what I do as far as educating youth and what their passion is as far as arts. And when I see the next level and when they're happy and it's not just about just making money, they are enjoying their passion. So that's my success.
My name is Joshua Hollingsworth, and I'm the founder and curator of Unified Creative Exchange. It's a creative management agency that I founded just last year, and really to consume the intimate role of supporting our artists. The art market can be a fast-paced and fast-trending industry, and so as it relates to the artists right here in Wilmington, Delaware, I just thought I wanted to take that intimate approach. So we do anything from project management to idea development to facilitating gallery experiences and exposure. I always have been interested in the arts. 2013, My father gave me a film camera, and that exposed me to film photography, and then art school, and then I landed an internship in the Delaware Contemporary, which is our leading contemporary art museum in the region. I left there after a tenure of 6 years, where I felt like I wanted to take that entrepreneurial step, and working with various people in the community like Nataki, who are, the exemplary for entrepreneurship in the arts. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for being here today. I'm glad we have so many views represented, but I'm excited that this is one of the topics at the Mill Summit conference, because for so long, and I've been working here in Delaware in the art space for about 15 years, for so long, there's been a desire to separate and to silo. This is the business. This is the serious stuff. This is what's driving the economy and attracting jobs. This is the arts. This is what we do for fun or leisure. And really, it is about combining those two things. That's what a robust creative economy looks like. So I'd like to turn it over to our panelists and ask them, with that in mind, what does a strong creative economy, it could be here in Wilmington, it could be the state of Delaware, what does that look like? Can you describe it? And why should this matter to our leaders and our decision makers?
So a strong creative economy looks like all business sectors working together to support whatever the arts is. If opera is if opera is having an event, the restaurants that are around the opera event are going to be supported. If people are coming in from out of state or tourists, they're going to stay at our hotels, and that's going to also help the economy. And that everybody needs to understand the impact that it makes, the trickle effect on everybody. One thing I want to go ahead and mention right here, I want to ask everyone if they know that Delaware's creative economy is a jobs engine supporting over 18,500 jobs here in our state. Did y'all know that?
Raise your hand if you knew that. Regina knows that because she was there
You're
last
not
week.
allowed to raise your hand, Regina. So let me break it down for you. 10,520 direct jobs in the creative fields like design, performing arts, etc., fall in that category. 4,021 indirect jobs are supported in the creative sector like suppliers and printers. 4,010 are induced jobs created by spending within the creative economy like the restaurants and arts venues like I just mentioned. So that's why it matters.
Can you repeat that again, Molly?
Okay. Oh, lost my place there. What does a strong creative economy look like, either to our community or state? And why should our decision makers, why should they care?
What it looks like to me is making sure that the visual arts is represented in a way that is respected. What I do see a lot is a lot of areas in the arts are appreciated in the state of Delaware. And I'm speaking about concerts and culinary that is creative as well. I see a lot of things that are appreciated, but when it comes to visual arts, it's slighted. They are used for moments to drive marketing or things like that. But once it's over, there is no more respect for it. And I see that a lot in the state of Delaware. I would say that our our officials, our local officials, need to be more cognizant of that, because in other cities, I'm speaking like Charlotte, smaller spaces like, well, Charlotte's kind of small, but compared to New York. So we'll say New York, Charlotte, Texas, parts of Houston, places like that. You go there and their economy is bustling. And it shows that their visual arts is respected, and it shows that their artists are compensated for what they do. It's just not an idea. They respect it as a skill and a job. So I would say that we need to be more, and our politicians, our leaders, the ones who should have their fingers on the pulse. And I believe some of the people that have the decision making for visual arts do not have their fingers on the pulse. And if that means hiring more younger people who have those ideas, the doors need to be open, because that's, I believe, what's lacking here. I also see that there's a lot of areas in Wilmington, and I'm just going to keep it real. It's about developing buildings. It's about, though, that's the most important thing that we see. So when we are reaching up to, voting time, we need to make sure that the people that we put in are adding more jobs to this list and making sure that when they add those jobs, they are including visual artists, the visual artists that are literally um, on ground level. Because I also see a lot of visual artists that are brought from out of the state to come here, and projects are financed for them when we have some that are here who are masters at what they do. So I hope I answered that, Molly.
Yes, you did. There's a lot to jump off on there. We're going to circle back to that in a minute, but Joshua?
Just to second everything that Nataki has said, I think there's two factors for me. There's the diverse opportunities for our visual artists and performing artists, as well as the sustainable opportunities. It goes back to the level and scale of opportunities that we're historically known to get in Wilmington, right? But that's not always the sustainable factor for the artists. And so it takes, creative agencies, creative galleries to kind of push the pulse, connect with our developers, connect with, the local development opportunities that are happening, and really try to be that liaison for the visual artists and for the artists in Wilmington.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all. Just to jump off, let's deviate from the questions a little bit. Nataki, you were talking about doing more than building buildings, and there are leaders in this community. And again, we need places for people to live. Absolutely, we're all supporting affordable housing in our community, but also to attract people to live. They don't just come to a building; they come to a culture. Can
Correct.
you all expand a little bit more on what that would look like and feel like to have a thriving culture? And referencing other small cities is something I often do. I try to describe to people, when you've gone to a vibrant regional city that has exploded in growth and it's a place where people want to live, describe what that feels like and how we could translate that to Wilmington. Bit of a broad question, but I'm going to turn it over to, you want to start here? Or let's turn it over to Nataki. Can you pick up on that?
So looking over the plan, which is the create plan, right? What I did notice is a couple areas that I believe are important, which is tourism, right? Which is really big in order for people to want to actually like do things here in the city. But also making sure that the education at a when we teach our children early on, that has to be implemented in their education and is being removed. And I know that's in the create plan as well. So I would say on the business end, for sure, tourism has to be important so that people know that things are happening here, and also support the ones who are doing those type of things. Also, and so the other thing is the education. I have a program that I partner with Newcastle County, and it's going on year 4. So we offer 12 weeks training for teenagers in high school, which is drawing, painting, and digital art, and they're paid for their time. What we see is, and there's an application process, we only allow 12 in, and it's usually like 50 students who apply, which means there's a need for it, right? But what we notice in the applications, a lot of the students are saying they've never taken art classes before. And it's important. And some of them say they didn't take it in school, but maybe their parents have sent them to something in the community or something like that. So I think that the tourism that I've seen in there is very important, and the education, starting it early and making sure it stays that way till they graduate from college. I mean, graduate from high school. The other thing is DCAT is no longer here, and other places that have a bustling or their visual arts is respected. It's because that once the students graduate from high school, they have a next step to stay there. So if we are educating them all the way up to high school and then they have no next step, they're going to leave. They're no longer a part of our economy. They can no longer give back. They're going to go somewhere else to thrive. So speaking about the buildings, right? So I would hope that that building comes into play as a creative hub some kind of way. I'm just throwing that out there because it's
You're
needed.
talking about the
The
DCAD
DCAT
building?
building, it's already kitted out. I'm just saying, if somebody's listening, it should not be another building that is overtaken and gutted and changed to something else. I believe that we still need that because when the DCAT students were displaced, I was the institution that said, I will allow you to come, the students will allow them to come in, sell their artwork, no commission to me. And they did it for 3 days. And it was their money to give it back to them, because I knew there was nothing else we could do for them. So we have to be able to have something here for them to sustain, as you said, sustainability, so that they can stay, thrive, and be appreciative and believe that Delaware stands 10 toes down on supporting creative arts, visual arts.
Great, thank you.
I think I would have to confer with the tourism aspect to it. So much of my work, I find, I am in the intersection of business and arts. So I'm communicating and trying to work with our local businesses, specifically our Black-owned businesses, and I'm trying to work with the visual artists who just want to be the creator, right? They don't want to consume the business role or the entrepreneurship role. That's where I come in, right? And so I find that a lot of our businesses don't know about that intersection, or that there is an intersection that we can coincide. I just placed a visual artist from Philadelphia into a Black-owned coffee shop on Concord Ave, Twazium Cafe. And so now we've seen in the last week and a half that intersection and the combination of the two has cultivated a community. We've started to cultivate the culture that we could put a name on it. It's tangible, right? And so if I'm thinking about that, and if I were to do this in every county, twice in every county, 4 times in every county, so that is you're building engagement, you're building a culture, you're building a community. And so I think it takes creative, again, agencies to kind of take those leading efforts.
So, 2 things that I heard them speak of, and I wanted them to talk first because they live and breathe Wilmington every day. I live downstate, but I do tend to travel up here often though. But I want everyone to take a moment to visit Delaware.gov. That's the Delaware Tourism Office. That's housed in our office as well. You can find out a lot of information about the arts events that are taking place throughout the state from that website, and visiting their social media platforms. If you follow everything else on social media, you can follow Visit Delaware. Because when we go to different states and we're trying to figure out what we can do or what's happening in those states, that's what we do. We try to see who are the foodies on their Instagram pages, or what activities are taking place, so we can get entertainment. And that's exactly what people do when they come to Delaware. They're trying to find a place for entertainment, they're trying to find a place to eat, and a nice place to stay. So go visit visitdelaware.gov, our tourism site, and that's through the Department of State. And you can find out a lot of information about what's happening here in your own state.
Speaking of finding out about information, all of you have done such a great job describing what a thriving culture can look like, a place where artists have opportunities, where they're respected, where people are seeing the value they're bringing to building society, building our economy, and what fair pay looks like. Can we talk a little bit more about what plans are in place? Because that's a feeling we're trying to capture, but the nuance of policy, decision making, we are moving in a direction. And I'm going to reference 2 things. And Anastasia, I'm going to kick it off to you to start. Number 1, can you talk a little bit more about what the CREATE plan is and where we can find more information about it? And I can jump in too. But then the second part is, how does that relate to your day job, thinking about small businesses?
So the CREATE plan, and I'm going to look on this paper because I always get tongue tied, is Creative Economy Advancement Tourism Expansion Plan. And it kicked off last week in Newcastle, Kent, and Sussex County. And what it is designed to do is to really help entrepreneurs that are within the creative space be able to have a voice. Last year, over 600 individuals were joining the roundtables that we had throughout the state, and really had the opportunity to express what they've experienced before COVID and during COVID and after COVID within their business, within their industry, when it comes to connecting and getting the support that they need to be sustainable. One thing that I went through as a small business owner, I had a paper flower shop that was in Milford, downtown on Main Street. And I opened up right before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit, and like I had to think of new innovative ways to thrive. I started doing classes. I started creating a creative space for individuals. I actually see 2 people in this room that I definitely didn't know we were going to have a lasting bond, but they came to my shop, made paper flowers, still have them. But let me not go on a tangent there. But being able to connect with other individuals that are within that same space as you, and find out new innovative ways to make sure your business is sustainable. Like that's so very important. Another key thing is making sure you connect with the Division of Small Business. I am the Kent County Business Manager, but we have 3 other amazing business managers throughout the state that you can connect with, whatever level your business is at. Even if you just have an idea right now, make sure you connect with us so that way we can help you start and grow your business and create different locations throughout the state and maybe even in another state, but we want you to stay here. But that's so important to make sure you understand the resources that are here for you in the state.
Can you talk about the EDGE grant real quick since
Yes.
it's a
Oh, yeah.
deadline coming up?
Oh yeah, what date is? What's today date? Okay, yeah. So the EDGE grant opened up 6 days ago. If you have never heard of the EDGE grant, please stop by our table to the left and I will give you all the information you need about the EDGE grant. If you have a business that exists as long as it's 7 years or less and you need a new piece of equipment, you need a location, whatever it is that you need, even if the EDGE grant isn't for you, we have some other things that we can talk about. But yes, come see me. Let's talk
And
about EDGE.
fewer than 10 employees, up to 50,000.
Yes, up to 50,000 if it's in the entrepreneur category and up to 100,000 if you are in the STEM category.
August 20th,
August 30th.
30th.
August 30th.
I think it's exciting. I mean, we as a state, certainly as a country, part of our ethos is small business, support small business, and the arts are small business. And this has always been the case, whether you're an independent working artist trying to sell the objects you create, whether you are something that Nataki and Joshua are doing, kind of that intersection between artists and the marketplace. We are trying to pull together and not just talk about the artists over here, the economy and small business here, but show that they are absolutely linked. So go on the Delaware Arts Alliance's website, and we do have one of the DAA staff members, Jordan, here. Jordan, are you here? Jordan, yay, raise your hand. We have plans we can give out in blue folders. You can also download the Creative Economy Plan on the website. It is 25 policy-driven recommendations to strengthen the creative economy in our state. Everything from improving regulations and licensing so you can host an event more quickly, to funding for nonprofit arts, to making sure there's high quality access to arts education for all students in our state. So it's a very diverse plan. It's getting at a lot of different facets of how to grow and strengthen our creative economy. And I think this example of you and the Small Business Association saying, please apply for the EDGE grants. They're not just for non-arts businesses. That is a huge step, because I've heard of the EDGE grant for years. I had no idea until we were talking earlier this year that you would welcome artistic businesses to apply.
As long as you are for profit, yes, come see me. So you
Okay,
can apply.
great.
Studio B is located in Milford. They are a print shop. They just printed out these amazing comic books. I saw them on Instagram last night, and they were EDGE grant recipients.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, and they're
Good.
doing amazing in Milford. Yeah. And also I want to shout out Jessica Ball. She just snuck in from the Division of Arts. If you are a nonprofit in the arts sector, the Division of Arts has amazing grant opportunities for you as well. And they are under Department of State like us.
And grant opportunities for individual working artists. So great. And we'll talk more about that in the last section of what you can do, more resources you can access. But turning it back over to our 2 current small business owners, I know you had your small business, which your flowers are gorgeous. They're really beautiful. Nataki and Joshua, can you talk about that intersection and some of the unique challenges you face being a small business, but also one that's focused on the arts, and what we all can do to maybe change those challenges?
We as business owners?
Yeah, as business owners, all business owners face challenges, but what specifically running an arts business has been a challenge?
I think majority of it, because this work, all of the work is so much of my passion. So much of my artistry is trying to really identify and stay strong-steaded on those profitable margins as a business owner. Working with a lot of visual artists, outside of the ones who are my friends, right, and trying to grow their passions and everything that they're into is just, making sure that I'm looking and staying careful and making sure that I, am thinking of those things that can sustain me as a artist, as a creative, as a business owner.
For me, I started out curating before I had a gallery, before I had a website, and it was real organic. And then I went to a website, which did really well. but then I went to a brick and mortar, which is what I have now. So my toss up has been, because of the change in the environment, is, do I stay with a brick and mortar? Do I go back to a website? I still have a website. It's really nice, so you should go check it out.
What's that website?
Thesoldfirm.com. www.thesoldfirm, SOLDFIRM. That's my girl. She know how to point it out.
So she's already been on the website.
Oh yeah, she's been on the website. She's been to the gallery. Yeah. But so that one thing, because I go around the different places when I travel. I go to galleries, I go to spaces and see what they're doing. And you go into a gallery sometime, and it's just you and whoever's behind the desk. No matter where you go, you can go to New York and they got a million of them. It's just you and whoever's just working the gallery space. And so, because we're here in Delaware, and it is all, I've been in operation for 5 years now. It is always pulling people to get in the door, right? It's always going to be that, because we're just not there yet. We're going to get there. We're going to get there, but we're just not there yet. So it has been a toss up. Do I stick with the brick and mortar? Because the brick and mortar allows people to be educated. It allows people to feel like, oh, I don't have to come in here and be dressed up. I can come in here and I can see artwork for the first time, as people that have never been to an art gallery in their life as adults. So it's like, do I keep this going? Do I go back to the website and just be a gallerist? I mean, be an art dealer like I was before. So that's my challenge. And I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing okay. Everything is fine, but it is just that, what should I do? What should I do? So I haven't really decided if I'm going to keep the doors open of the Sold Firm, but right now we're doing okay. But that's my toss up.
That's great. And do you also have a day job or
I
another
do.
job,
I
right?
do. Why you say that, Molly?
I'm just because it'll be
No,
relevant.
it's
in a second.
important.
It'll
It's
be relevant in a second.
important.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure, I can. So coming back from New York, I came back here in 2009 at the recession. Like, I had a ad job in marketing, and I went to FIT. I graduated from design school. I have all that stuff, right? It didn't mean nothing when I came back to Delaware. They didn't care. They didn't care what I had. So I had to work. I have a son. He's now 22. So as a mother, I had to work. Once it was like the moment got a career back in marketing and stable, then it was like, I can't. I got to get back into the arts. Like, this is. I've been doing this all my life. Like, I can't just stick with the corporate world, right? So I jumped back in. I started curating. I started being a dealer, selling artwork for, like, Seven God. Seven God was my first artist that I worked with to push him. It's James Wyatt. So I started out like that. And what ended up happening is I still have to maintain. I still have to have a level of, I got to pay the bills. The lights got to stay on. My son got to get through college. So that's why I still have the corporate job. I will say this, for a long time, and I think it's important to say that small business owners and entrepreneurs, you do not have to leave your day job just yet. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of pressure on it's a lot of pressure on, you have to leave. You do it when you're ready, whenever that is for you. And I want to be ready. I don't It's not ready just yet, but there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to also understand that that also comes with a price, a cost, because you are double dipping, like, not double dipping, because I don't want to say that, but you are living a double life. You live in a double life, and there are sacrifices that come with that. Um, there You have to put things in place. I didn't tell my job. I work in corporate in the finance industry. And I didn't tell them, I never told them, to be honest with you. It just kind of happened. Somebody seen something somewhere. I was like, Nataki, you got to argue. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that. But so I always kept those things separate, and I still do. But when you're in corporate world and they find out, you have to then kind of say, I got a world outside of this. So those are the type of things that is like, yeah, you can balance it too, but then it comes with, you got to tell them what you're doing. And I was like, I don't really want to tell you, but I have to. So those type of things, and sacrificing your day job when you want to be working on your business, or you got to get some sleep because you're doing both. So it's fine to have them both. When it's time, just make that leap, but don't push yourself and stress yourself out about it. It'll work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we've seen a lot on Instagram with people telling us otherwise, right? That you just quit that corporate job, start that side hustle.
Don't listen to that.
Don't listen to that. Exactly. But the reason I ask is because, even a lot of people in this room, I assume you're not in the creative sector. You probably are working for many of the big employers and nonprofits in our community. So why is this relevant? Yes, we want a thriving society with access to art for health and wellness and education. We want to have a strong economy. We want to feel like we live in a cool place that has access to interesting things to do. But beyond that, if you really stop and ask yourself, if money was no object, and I do ask people this all the time, if money was no object, what would you do with your free time? And 9 times out of 10, it is, I'd spend all my time cooking. I'd spend all my time writing books. Finally, I'd get back into that painting hobby, or I'd make music. I'd learn to play the piano. It doesn't matter what it is. It 9 times out of 10 is an artistic, creative pursuit. And I think that's why the arts gets a bit of a bad rap as an elitist endeavor, because the people who have the time to commit to it often have the resources of time, the resources of money. But that is not what's going to drive our economy and our culture forward, is only leaning on the people who have the resources. We have to make the space for everybody, all of us, all of our expression to shine and keep that day job. Many of us are not suited to being creative entrepreneurs or independent artists, but it is so important for all of us to have that opportunity for expression. And I know you prepared a lovely quote. Did you bring that you wanted to read?
Yeah. So yesterday when we had our Zoom call, Molly asked the question, can you ask the way you have to have that same attitude? Like,
I don't remember what that attitude was. You catch me on a certain
remember
day.
she was like, I don't understand why this matters.
Yeah, why
But-
does it matter? I get a lot of questions. Why should I care? The art museum should do what the art museum does, find some rich donor to invest. I'm focused on the nuts and bolts of whatever. Why should we care?
So I was on Instagram the other day, and this was before we had the conversation, and this quote popped up, or this, it's not a quote, it's just like some words.
It's a poem, I think.
Yeah, it's a poem, but it doesn't say who is the author. So I was like, Molly, listen to this. It's all art. The way you laugh, your smile, your wardrobe, the way you decorate your home, the way you dance, your energy, your collection of books, and the way you write, your playlist, your grocery list, your friendships. It's all art. Your whole life is art.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? Thank you for finding that.
And the thing that resonated with me was your grocery list, because I doodle. So it's like it's like flowers and circles all around it. But yeah, that was real. I'm so glad you brought that up yesterday, because I was like, oh, I have a comeback for that.
Yeah. And that is certainly something we experienced during COVID. We all leaned on the arts to get us through, whether it was music or that Netflix show that was keeping you sane, or redecorating your house. A lot of people redecorated to stay and have something exciting to look at. So we all experienced that. It drove your husband crazy.
Yeah, like, why are we moving the couch again? Why are we moving it over here? I'm like, because it needs to look different. I'm tired of looking at the same place all the time.
Drove my husband crazy. I bought so much art from local artists at that time. He put like a moratorium and said no more. So now I sneak it into my office and leave it there until he forgets, and then I hang it up.
We have a timer.
It looks like we're transitioning into Q&A, but one real quick thing, very fast lightning round. What is one resource? You already shared the EDGE grant. Thank you for that. And the DAA Create Plan. One resource.
And the Division of Arts too. Yeah. Make sure you tap into Division of Arts.
Delaware Division of the Arts. They have an amazing, it's called delawarescene.com. And you can find out all the activities happening in the state, performances, art exhibitions. It's a fantastic resource if you're trying to figure out what to do. Any other resources that you want to point the audience to? Any of you? Sorry.
Oh, yes. So with me, if like I said, if you're not ready to apply for a grant or a loan at this time, we fund the Small Business Development Center, and we be in the division, not me because I don't have the money, but the division as a state agency, and then the federal government, the SBA, we join together and fund that Small Business Development Center. They can help you with your business plan. I seen someone from SBDC in here. Is Caroline in here still? She's one. Okay. I'm sorry, I called her out. But yeah, so Small Business Development Center, they will help you with your business plan, help you get to the next level. So that way you can come over to the division side and if you want to apply for grants or loans. So that is another valuable resource. And they're to the right when you first walk out of here.
I would say for any business owners in the room, project managers, project developers, program facilitators, educators that are interested in infusing and working with the artists specifically, I would encourage you to look to your local agencies. You can find me at UC Agency on Instagram, and then as well as Nataki and the Delaware Contemporary. We all have working database where you can find local visual artists, specifically in Wilmington or within a 250-mile range. So.
Thank you, Josh. I will say 2 resources. One is the Launcher Program. Kristen, there you go. Very good program. If you have an idea, you want to launch it, you want to take it to the next level. The Launcher Program is a good one. Also, not the Women's Library, but the library, the public libraries of Delaware. Through the launcher, I realized that they have so many resources for businesses, business owners. I don't know her name offhand, but she runs like a whole business entrepreneur resource that you can tap into. And there are a slew of resources that you can tap in if you have a library card through the public library. So that was really good. Shout out to DDOA. They are sponsoring my program that's coming up this summer. So thank you.
Great. Well, we're going to move into Q&A. So please raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, first taker. I think we have a microphone coming. Yep, here it comes.
Hi, everyone. So my question is in regards to what you said, Molly, that you were collecting the art for artists and your husband had to stop you. But what is your plan with that art, right? Like, I know you're excited about it, but what for others that want to collect art, how would we make that a collection, or how would we get that exposure to help a living artist or even an artist that may have moved on?
That is such a great question. And I hear frequently, especially from people in the younger generations, they think you have to be some type of expert. You don't. You just start collecting what you can afford and what you like. And looking to your local artists is the best way to gain a foothold into doing that. That's pretty much all I buy. And I actually think Joshua and Nataki, since you run businesses focused on introducing people to working artists, what is your advice on how to get people started collecting?
One thing is contact either one of us. Number one, we can put you into artists, put you in contact with artists who will fit your budget. I get people all the time that ask me, Nataki, what should I start with? It is the same thing as if you were going to save your money for a pair of shoes, a pair of designer shoes, whatever. If that's $500, then I'm not going to buy no shoes this time. I'm going to put that, either us break it down into smaller pieces that will add up to $500, or just I want to focus on that one. I will say this. I'm a gallery that I can offer business. I'm not business. I can offer payment plans. If it starts at a certain amount, then I can go to the artist and say, listen, this person wants to buy this piece for this piece is, I'm going to say 1,500. Would you be willing to break that down into 4 payments? And so then that's a conversation that I would be the person in between the artist and the customer, saying this is what they want to do over 4 minutes. I've done that before. I will also say this. If you cannot afford an original piece, and all original pieces don't have to be extremely expensive. We just had the DCAD students who were selling originals for like $200. But if you if an original of a piece is like 50 grand, I'm going to say that because art it's an investment, right? But I've seen pieces that are 50 grand, but the print of this person could be 1,200, right? So, or the original was 1,200 and you can find that print. If they offer prints, you may be able to get the print for say 150. Get the print, get them to sign the print, frame the print, and you still have a piece from that artist. It may not be the original, but you may have number 50 out of 100. So you still are contributing to that artist. You still have a piece from that artist. It may not be the original, and then you work towards the original at some point. But there's still a way to do that. Yes. Hey, Greg.
From a local standpoint, right? So how what determines the value? And we often hear art always appreciates, right? Is that true with the local stuff? Because if I pay $1,200 for something, I want to see it go up in value over 5, 10 years. So how does a collection become valuable? And then, maybe one day when I pass away, it becomes part of the Delaware Art Museum or something.
Can I jump in for that? Well, first, I always challenge people, and I don't think people expect their $1,200 television to go up in value. They expect it to have a limited time span. So it's partially changing your mindset, something you live with, something you look at, a living piece of something that you can enjoy has an intrinsic value, whether or not it ever appreciates in value. And quite frankly, a lot of art doesn't. Most art does not. It is a sentimental value. It might go up in value. Maybe you pass it on to your children and that artist gets big. Most people in this room probably can't afford to buy a national reputable artist that you can really start trading it like a stock. That's not how I think about it, especially if you're focusing on local. But I'll turn it over to you two to talk about the value side.
Yeah. And I think answer both your questions combined. The value part, right? And I think that's for self to kind of identify that worth. I would say one, never let the price on the label deter you from actually being interested or pursuing that piece. I find that even the pieces that I bought, I've never walked in a place and went to the front desk and said, I want this piece. I want to speak with the artist, right? I want to hear the narrative behind the piece. I actually have an interview series that we're launching soon called the artist is the art, untold stories behind the canvas, right? Because that for me, that's the message. That is where I find the value, you know versus face value of the piece. So
I agree. Agree. Um, it is like you said. It is self. It's a self value. When I work with artists and we talk about pricing, a lot of artists tend to price themselves low, and that's a confidence thing. That is, we're in an area where I don't think they're going to buy my artwork, so I don't want to shake the table a little bit. So that is number one. And it takes time, and then I have seen artists to come out of that, right? So it is a self thing. There is a formula that I actually work with that goes into what they should be at least starting their pieces with, and that goes into the products. That's a lot. If they don't have a formula, um, but like Molly said, it doesn't always appreciate. You have to appreciate it just for what it is. And sad but true, a lot of artists that we've seen and the bigger names, the blue chip is like the Basquiat's and things like that. It doesn't appreciate until they pass away. And that is, and a Seven God he has artwork that he walks around with, or he has it on his clothes, and it says, "Buy my art before I die." And that's the reason why. It is a sad truth, but a lot of the artists that we see, they really don't make it until they're gone. So support them now. Support them now. Go to the cafe, right? Come to my art market, which is August 24th and September 28th, and talk to the artist, get the story behind it, and purchase it and appreciate it. And if they just so happen to blow up, then and if that's what you want to do, you want to pass it on, then do that. I will also say this, right? Delaware we know it's tax free, right? There are credits and things that help you if you have artwork housed in storage here in Delaware. So keep that in mind. She's laughing. Keep that in mind. There are storage places here in Delaware that's specifically for art. We can't go there, just so you know. You can't walk in there. You can't do nothing like that. It's secured and it's temperature secured.
Yes, it is.
But but if you have something that is of super valuable, and go through the insurance and stuff, there are places here that you can store your artwork. That's a little tidbit.
It's a big growing business. I wouldn't say huge business, but they are looking for people with skills for art handling, which is a very specific skill. They're mostly bringing them in from out of state. It is a workforce issue. So this is another example based on our tax structure, just like the financial service industry, we have a lot here. There's a lot of art being stored here and a lot of businesses popping up to cater to that art. And they need workers. The people who own those places have said to me, I want to hire somebody who is a Delaware taxpayer and I cannot find the skill base. So there's an opportunity for a training program. Museum has certainly talked about starting one, but that is yet another example of how that creative economy could really take off in our state. So we have time for, I think, 2 more questions. There's one back there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. I was going to just say that I really appreciated this conversation. Leading an organization that finds itself at the intersection of like creativity, community, and health and wellness. And being back in Delaware, because I feel like the story always for a lot of people is like when you come back home to Delaware and realizing that there isn't this investment in a creative economy, the arts, or any of those sort of things. And I really kind of want to shift the conversation back to just get you all's thoughts on like the structure of our state, right? And how it seems as though a lot of the opportunities or the kind of creative community is solely in Newcastle County, especially when we're thinking about artists of marginalized communities, right, or underserved populations. There's not a lot of representation throughout the state in other spaces. And so I'm wondering what you all's thoughts are about that.
Yeah, so downstate in Sussex County in Rehoboth, we have the Weston Rehoboth Creative Space, and it's really doing great. A lot of people don't know about it, but it's booming. And there's different spaces that are in lower Sussex. I live in Kent County. That's like the drive-through county of the state. But we do have a lot of things that are popping up. It's just not advertised as much as we probably would love to see it. But it is there. And like we mentioned, following Delaware Scene, you can find out what's happening throughout our county and throughout the state. But predominantly, everything's happening up here with y'all.
Yeah.
And Wilmington.
I will say that another source is like the Out and About magazine. Wilmington has an art loop every first Friday of the month, and get the Out and About magazine or go online. That is a way to stay connected. And that used to be downtown, but it's spread out to the west side in different areas. And if you're in Middletown, it's a gallery down there called Arts by Angelova, and she started an art loop down in Middletown. So if you keep in contact, I don't know how to reach in, like how do they have their connection to the public for as far as the Middletown art loop, but there's one there. There's a Dover Art League, right?
Yes.
They're
And
great.
Jordan in the back, she is a part of Dover Art League.
Okay, so there's another one.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what, and that's in Rehoboth.
Milford Art League, Rehoboth Art League.
Okay.
There's quite a few throughout the
Someone down
state.
there.
But the point is well taken that the infrastructure, the belief with our core decision makers across the state that it is a value, it is important, it should be a pillar. We need to build the infrastructure, build the opportunities. That is not fully there. There are artists everywhere, but they might not be as visible or getting the support they need or the opportunities. That is putting a plug in again for the Delaware Arts Alliance. Sign up to be an advocate. Join us when we go to Leg Hall and push for change. That's how we're going to see some of this stuff change. I think we have one more question that was over here. Yes, I hate Beth.
Hi, Molly. I really wanted to jump onto your point that you said about how there are so many other different types of ways to work in the arts beyond even being a fine arts creator. And I think that that's a lot of times lost in society. And I know I'm on a board of a technical high school that has an arts program. And when we do open houses, students have no idea about what working in the arts can be, what jobs are available. And I hate to say it, I went to art school in the 80s, and parents are still like terrified that their kids are going to be living in their basements forever if they become artists. And one of the things I've done is we do a panel at a local high school where I bring in 12 or 15 different people working in all different ways in the arts to like talk to kids about, you can go into video, you can do all these different things. So I'm curious from all of you, like, are you seeing in Delaware, is this problem still happening? And what as a society can we all do to help young people, students, and their parents see this as a viable way to live a wonderful life?
I'm so glad you asked that. So much of my journey and my introduction to the arts is so much of that. I went to Delaware College of Art and Design, majored in fine art photography, landed this internship that I had hoped would be me picking up my camera, walking around a museum. And I had got this internship and it was nothing of that. I was somehow an assistant teacher for workshops and things like that. Over the course of 5 to 6 years, it transitioned from me being a assistant teaching artist to the main teaching artist to contracting the teaching artist to developing the program with the school. And so the administrative aspect to the museum world was something that I hadn't ever been exposed in work in art school. I'm in studio classes for 4 to 5 hours a day, and I'm drawing, but I'm a photography major, right? And so I think the administrative aspect, once my eyes open up about that, and then the business side and the networking and the partnerships and working with our state leaders and things like that on the infrastructure of a trail, right? And infusing artists in the decision makings of that. It's all fun to me.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in because we are at time. I think we're 1 minute over, but just to end to say, oh, we have one more. Okay. You're right, Beth. And we're not just fine artists. We are people. I don't have a fine art background. I have no art background. Well, I sort of do. But anyways, it is not just about what we are doing to produce art. There are more than 18,000 jobs related to the creative sector in our state. That's nonprofit, for-profit, small businesses, working artists. This is the first time a state has ever done an economic assessment at all of those levels. We are a bigger industry than agriculture, number of jobs wise in this state, which truly is stunning. And just for one more little bit of color to the story, I was talking to somebody who does not live in the state who has a hundreds of millions of dollars business that they sold. He went to art school. He met his wife in art school. And he said to me, why don't more industry leaders understand that hiring an artist who's gone through art school can be one of the best decisions that you make for thinking differently, product design, implementation? I mean, it is training your brain and way to work. Even if your job is not to sell paintings, if you are trained in that way, it's going to have infinite benefit in numerous places in our society. So I think that's what you're trying to get at, Beth, is really opening up what that means. Okay, Jessica, I think you're our last question.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I wanted to tag on to the collecting piece. I completely appreciate Josh's and Nataki's all of the things they said. I echo. I have amassed a pretty large art collection on a public servant's salary, and one hot tip that they didn't say, I agree with all of it. I only buy from local artists in Delaware. I only buy from artists that I have relationships with. And I'll tell you, if you develop a relationship with an emerging artist, as their work starts to increase in value, if you've been a collector, they will continue to sell you their pieces at a price you can afford. So it is about the relationship. But here's the hot tip. I have a savings just for buying art, a savings account. You can buy a beautiful piece of original art for as low as $200 from a local artist, but start small. And then once you get about $1,000 saved up, start to put it in like a high yield CD or money market and have that dedicated only to your art collecting. Before you know it, you can earn, you can be earning a little bit of money and putting it all towards buying art from local artists. So to set aside a dedicated account for art and put that in something that earns you money.
Then you're on your way to mainstream collecting, right?
Yes.
I love that. Great tip. Great place to close. Thank you so much. I want to thank our panelists and thank you all. This was such a fun topic, and we'll stick around if anybody has additional questions.